The Fantasy Football Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get $100 in free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by the SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast. That's us. We're giving away an autographed DeAndre Swift jersey and a merch store gift card. Get all the details by following us on Twitter at SGPN Fantasy. And we're also brought to you by the MLB Gambling Podcast. They're giving away an MLB jersey as a part of their wild card playoff contest exclusively in the SGPN app. All right, and welcome into the Fantasy Football Podcast presented by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. Joining me tonight is Christopher Robin at Detroit Beastie. How are we doing, sir? Happy Friday.
Good. Thanks for having me. You caught me off guard, but, it said people say you get caught with your pants down. Rarely do I get caught without my notes. So there's worse ways of being, thrust into the action and having a handful of pens and notes. I'm great. Friday, it's already... It's already October, so what are we doing? On the verge of week 5. It's gone by in the blink of an eye, and I'm just taking it all in, you know what I mean? I had a tweet maybe 20, 30 minutes ago where it's like I felt... I know people didn't come here for a therapy session or to hear us complain or anything, but I felt this week, every week actually, I'm very productive. I have a good routine. I wake up on time and I get done what I need to get done. But this week, for some odd reason, and it's hitting me like a ton of bricks right now, is I'm just flat out exhausted, and I don't know why I'm feeling this way, but there's something I need to do, or there's something I need to tweak, right? Because again, as I just said, week 5 is just upon us, and we have 15 more of those weeks. So something this week really got me good, and I don't know what it was, because I love doing this. Not going to walk away from it, but I am more exhausted today than I can say I've been in a long time. So we'll see. We'll fight through it. We'll the grind and work out the kinks, whatever other colorful adjectives and cliches you want to say.
It's got to be the shifts in seasons, right? Like, I don't know what it is, but when it always shifts to fall, like, you're just always a little more tired. You go through the time change, so it's a little bit darker, a little bit earlier and all that. You're coming home from work feeling a little bit more tired than usual. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it gets dark. I know. Yeah, it's the seasons. It gets dark here. Well, not yet, but at the end of the month, and especially November, it'll be dark. Dark and ready for bed at literally 4:30, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and it's like, oh my God.
And then we got football coming on at 8:30.
No doubt. And it could be also, if I may say, the idea that, you write and broadcast, I write and broadcast, I cover DFS stuff. There has been no off season from, let's go back to the Super Bowl last year. Soon as the Super Bowl was done, boom, dove right into baseball. And then baseball, then you get a little football. And now the NHL season starts, I believe, on the 11th. And I'm going to be
today.
So there is
today.
Oh, it started. I must have been saying the Red Wings opener was on the 11th, if I'm not mistaken. But see, so it's like one thing goes into the next one. So there's really no off season. And I'm not saying I'm not wearing that as a badge of honor. I just say that because I enjoy what I do and I enjoy all this DFS stuff. So if I got to deal with being tired on Friday at 8 o'clock, then that's the least of my problems. Because when we're done here,
because we're having a good time, we're having fun. That's what we love to do, right? That's the whole thing.
I can get in a cozy, nice, warm bed. If Beastie wants to join, she will, and we'll go from there. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. I looked through the show notes, and there's a lot of good got good juicy questions and actions, like trades and over under stuff. It's pretty good. I gave it a quick run through. I don't want to be too robotic in my replies. Sometimes I think I've told you this before, hey, we got a show, I don't even want to see the show sheet. Just give it to me as it happens. And fire away as it happens. It's more fun for me, at least.
Love it. Yeah, hopefully we can get through this one nice and smoothly. Just for all the viewers and listeners, like, the technical difficulties right now on my side of things are, they're at like peak performance right now. Like, I got the internet twitching. I've got my lights feel like they're much brighter than normal. I don't know what it is. My camera keeps resetting to like the factory settings. So if you see Panasonic come up with
yes.
Yeah. Here we are.
There it is. If you see Panasonic running, I was ready to run the show, run the sucker. I was going to start talking about a few DFS guys I like, some underdog prize pick stuff. That's one thing about me that you can't say. Chris never goes into anything unprepared, so I could carry a 2-hour broadcast by myself just based on what I have around me, and then at a certain point, I would just start telling stories. Fun stories of things I've done, some bad, some good, and go from there. So if anybody's looking for a co-host, hold on, let me rephrase that. If you have a spotty, crappy kind of network or your camera stuff, you're going to want me to be your guest because I'll carry the sucker, all the way through
you're doing great.
lieu of bad connections here. So I'm glad you're back. You switched.
Yeah, I had a backup set up because I've been trying this literally. I was getting ready about an hour beforehand. That's usually like my prep time, and I couldn't get anything to work. You got on here right before we got started. The internet was going out. Like, I'm really sorry for the sound quality. That's gonna definitely be down a little bit, but at least my face isn't like a freaking jack-o'-lantern anymore. But let's get into it. Let's dive into the conversation here. We got a lot to go over. We got some start-sit questions you kind of already alluded to. We're going to go over some trades. We're going to do some over-under talk for some fantasy point totals. So, yeah, let's get into it. First up, start-sit quarterback position. We're looking at Trevor Lawrence or Aaron Rodgers this week. Trevor Lawrence taking on the Houston Texans. Aaron Rodgers flying across the pond, jolly o' London, taking on the Giants. Who are you going to start? Who are you going to sit?
Yeah, I want to talk this out briefly, if I may. I mean, I'm sure that's the idea behind the thing when we look at Trevor in comparison to Aaron Rodgers. And as it stands now, I have Trevor Lawrence around, 33, 34 passing attempts. He'll complete maybe 20 of those. And his passing total is going to be light. I have him around 230 passing yards, but, 2 scores, actually, 2 touchdown passes on the ground. This kid can get it done there. 3-4 scrambles. I don't think they're going to design anything for Trevor Lawrence on the ground unless it's, the dire straits at the end of the game here. But another, 20 to 25 yards on the ground. When we look at Aaron Rodgers, this guy is, he's been a thorn in my side. He's been a thorn in the sides of all NFC North kind of fan players for a long time. And when you look at him, it's an almost identical stat line, right? I have Aaron Rodgers around 34 passing attempts. He'll complete two more than Trevor Lawrence, so 22. And his yardage total in the air is not much higher. I'm thinking like 240, 245 with 2 touchdown passes as well. And in addition, him, he's not a big runner here. Here's Tim to get set. And when you look at this one, Green Bay is playing, across the pond, where Jacksonville, I believe they're at home, if I'm not mistaken, if I could find them here in my notes. Jacksonville will be able to the comfy confines of wherever they are. But to be fair, I would take Trevor Lawrence here. And I know that might not be the most logical choice or the most popular choice here.
It's not the sexy pick.
Two things I want to say here. Trevor Lawrence, we knew about this kid since he was like 14 or 15. This kid was destined to be the number 1 overall pick. This kid was destined to be an all-pro, playoff bound Super Bowl winning quarterback. And the first 2 years kind of
comps, all that, yeah.
Yeah, the first 2 years kind of chugged along, and I don't know. And then finally, so far so good. We've seen again only 4 games, but Trevor Lawrence, maybe he's finally settled down. He's got some new coaching staff guys around him. The players are, can you say the Jacksonville Jaguars have gotten better from a personnel standpoint? Absolutely. And it also helps that Houston comes to town as well. So I have Jacksonville to win this game 27, maybe 28 to like 14. They're going to not beat the brakes off of Houston, but they're going to get it done. And when you look at Green Bay, the travel time is travel time. That is what it is. They've probably been there for a week already here. But when I look at this one, I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence, because right now Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, we talked about working out the kinks. They're working out their kinks, and they're finding what works and what doesn't work. And right now, that young kid Romeo Dubes, however you want to say his name, he's starting to work out. So once they start to go and click in that, Green Bay is going to be off and running, obviously. But for this week and this week only, give me Trevor Lawrence at home against Houston.
I have Trevor Lawrence as well. So Fantasy Pros has these guys like neck and neck in the rankings, right? Aaron Rodgers 11, Trevor Lawrence at 12. I actually have Rodgers at 11 as well, but I have Trevor Lawrence at 9. I love the matchup up against Houston. They haven't had much of a challenge at the quarterback position until last week up against Justin Herbert. They had only allowed one passing touchdown per game prior to last week. When Herbert came to town, he threw for over 300 passing yards. Like Lawrence to do the same here. I think 300 is a pretty nice threshold. You had mentioned the passing attempts are going to be there definitely, and I like him to throw at least 2 passing touchdowns in that game. If you want to take any over props on the 1.5, Rodgers going across the pond. I feel like this matchup is more going to be favored to Dylan and Aaron Jones. The Giants have actually done pretty decent against good quarterback position. 10th fewest fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks right now, and I just haven't loved what I've seen from Aaron Rodgers. The miscommunication on routes between him and his receivers. Not everything's clicking there just yet. You had, Christian Watson steal a rushing touchdown last week. It's just not an offense that I really want to buy into right now, other than maybe those running backs. Dylan's getting a lot of volume. Jones is still getting a lot of touches. So those feel like the safe plays for me with Green Bay. Going to be staying off of A-Rod here. Like I said, have him not too many spots back from Trevor Lawrence, but, I feel like there's still some risk there. Great players, just not the best matchup.
When I look at this game, what stands out to me, and again, I look at everything from like a 10,000-foot view and in a 10,000-foot view from a DFS standpoint. And when I look at Green Bay's offensive positions in comparison to the Giants' DVP, the place to attack the Giants are the running backs. Because you said it, but it bears repeating here. The New York Giants are 9th against opposing quarterbacks. They're 2nd against defending opposing wide receivers. They're 6th against tight ends, and guess what they are against running backs? It's green. The Giants are 23rd overall in defending opposing running backs, and obviously, if some poor schlubs like us can pluck information like this, then you best believe that the head coaching staff of each team will see that here. But the Giants have been unbelievably good in their secondary with their linebacking corps here. So when you get a collection of kids like Watson and Dubs, Lazard, he has that questionable tag tattooed on his butt cheek, and Randall Cobb, Father Time here. I think the Giants are going to run some schemes and some looks that are going to completely just Dubs or Dobbs and Watson are going to be, their heads are going to be spinning just based on the professional level talent that they've seen here in their 4th or 5th game of the year as a professional football player. So for that fact, I'm out on Aaron Rodgers, and give me T-Law, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's how I got it written right in my notes. T-Law, number 12.
T-Law.
12 on Fantasy Pros. My number 9 quarterback this week. All right, next up we've got a running back starter sit question. Ramondre Stevenson against Detroit or James Conner versus the Eagles. Which way are you going?
Oh, right. I mean, right off the bat, I have major feelings about Ramondre Stevenson here, and as you can see, I'm typing in stuff as well so I can compare it with my notes, because again, you might find it shocking, but I can't remember everything. I love Ramondre Stevenson this week, and I'll tell you why. They're playing the Detroit Lions, who are 31st overall against opposing running backs. In some cases, some games, some players, DVP can get thrown out the window, and when I say that, I mean Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. The DVP doesn't really matter to them, and right now, anybody playing the Lions, DVP doesn't matter, because they are so down in the dumps, so down and out on defense, that I believe any team in the next few weeks are just going to run through the Lions. But the one good spot here is, I'm sure you've seen this graphic, the Lions have the number 1 overall scoring offense, and they have dead last 32nd worst defense. So it's like whoever's going to have the ball last. And when we look at James Conner, I've always been a James Conner guy. Arizona comes over Penn State and the Giants, right? And then he goes to Arizona now. Philadelphia is in Arizona. Philadelphia right now has been running roughshod through the NFL. Granted, only 4 games, but this team is scoring points, and the changes that of the head coaching staff and the assistant. I don't know what happened, but everybody who jumped ship on Jalen Hurts, you probably feel like a big dummy now. But that connection with Hurts and what's his name, AJ Brown is legit. It's real. Miles Sanders, finally, can he be talked about in that RB1, RB1 tier finally after all this time? But so
I think that still may have been his best game of the year last week, but
yeah. So what I'm saying is I don't expect James Conner in Arizona to keep pace with Philadelphia for that long. And we know that whole game flow script thing. If you're playing from behind, you're not going to have enough, time for your stud running back for rushing attempts. Yes, can Conner catch passes? Sure. Would they feel comfortable with him in their blocking? Probably not, given his, the health or lack thereof the last few years. So to me, and again, might not be a popular opinion, but I'm going with Ramondre Stevenson. I think this kid, in unison with Damian Harris, we're going to get a ton of work. I said that last week when Patriots went to Green Bay and they gave Brian Hoyer the football. Bill Belichick, I don't even know Bill, but I just absolutely knew that it was going to be the Stevenson and Harris show, and it was 18 carries for Harris, 14 for Stevenson. To me, give me Stevenson 13, 14 carries, probably over 60 yards. He's so far 4.9 yards a carry here, and he'll find the end zone, and 2 to 3 receptions for another 20 or 25 yards. And when I look at that, I won't even bother reading out Connor's, what I have for him, but it's the same, but it's not. It's the same kind of work, 13, 14 carries, couple receptions, but the yardage, it just isn't there, and that touchdown equity just isn't there with Connor. So give me Ramondre Stevenson all day, and I'm not thinking twice on that one.
Yeah, this is another one where Fantasy Pros has them absolutely neck and neck. Stevenson at 20, Connor at 21. I have Stevenson about a tier ahead. I have him at 19, and I have Connor at 25. So a pretty fair gap there, I'd say. And really all the points you had mentioned. The rushing yardage hasn't been there for Connor. I think he's only gone over 50 rushing yards just once this season. The PPR upside definitely more in favor of Stevenson in a plus matchup where he's going against the Lions. You had mentioned 32nd in defense, but they're also second in most fantasy points allowed to the running back position. So running backs are feeding on him. It's been a trend so far. So I think Stevenson is well in play. Dame Harris, there should be no concern starting him either. I do prefer Ramondre over him this week still. I still think that he's going to have the higher scoring week. I know that Dame has kind of out-touched him. And he's definitely been the ground attack, but I think in this one where you're looking to get points, you're going to have, what's his name, Bailey Zappi, playing quarterback, probably a lot of opportunity to dunk off to the running back, the tight ends. Not sure how much he's going to try and push the ball down the field. Hey, it's a good opportunity to test the waters on that. Detroit secondary has been, been pretty bleak.
They don't have one.
Pretty much. All right, we're going to hit a quick word from the sponsors. We are going to catch up on a few of these. So we'll be right back after a few words from our friendly sponsors. All right, thinking of joining WynnBET? Now is the perfect time because new customers who bet $100 get a $100 free bet. Plus, the WynnBET Casino is always open 24 hours a day where you can get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. If you're looking to join WynnBET, the WynnBET Biggest Winners Club, whoever hits the biggest parlay on WynnBET odds wise gets a $1,000 free bet. Last week, someone turned in a $6 bet into $4,000. Plus, they got a $1,000 free bet on top of that. WynnBET is truly for DGens only. There's so much to choose from, and all you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. Offer subject to change, terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WynnBET is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-522-4700. I'm not sure if you watch Fubo or football, but if you do, you need Fubotv. Fubotv gives you the complete coverage of college and pro football with NFL Red Zone plus games in 4K at no extra charge. Over 100 channels of live sports and entertainment for a fraction of the price of cable. Right now, you can try Fubotv for free for 7 days and get 15% off your first month. Just go to Fubotv.com/SGP. That's Fubotv.com/SGP. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Elias Game Plan, but it's the ultimate sports betting and fantasy companion for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. Whether you're a part of a fantasy tournament, placing bets, or just a huge sports fan or a stats nerd, the Elias Game Plan has everything that you need. Take this NFL season to the next level and download the Elias Game Plan app today. Choose from 3 game plans that you can subscribe from weekly, monthly, or annually. But today I can get you 25% off your first month when you choose a monthly subscription. Just use promo code SGPN25. Find the Elias Game Plan Sports Betting app in the App Store or Play Store today and use my promo code SGPN25. All right, and we're back. We're talking start or sit questions. We're moving on to the wide receiver position. We're looking at Terry McLaurin versus Drake London. McLaurin been pretty disappointing so far to start the year. London been more impressive, but McLaurin's got the friendlier matchup. London has a tougher matchup. Which way you going? Who you starting? Who you sitting?
Well, this is a great question because, I didn't have time to, kind of sit it out and write them down one-on-one. So it's more genuine when I talk it out here. So the first thing I do with a start or sit thing is look at the game, look at the matchups. As you said, you said, Washington, the Commanders, they get, if I can find it correctly on my, they're playing at home against Tennessee, which is an okay kind of thing. And then Atlanta and Drake London, they're in Tampa Bay. So right off the bat, I want to go to Drake London for a moment, because when you look at Tampa Bay and what happened last time they played, it wasn't good. I think it was Sunday Night Football against Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken, and they were just deflated, right? It didn't look like Tom Brady. It didn't look like to the old Tampa Bay team, the Super Bowl champion team here. So in a way, you got to go back and look through. There's tons of graphics and tons of stuff made on Tom, all that stuff. Tom Brady, the game after a loss by 10 or 15 points when a quarterback was 20 or like all that nonsense here. But Tom Brady normally responds very well after a loss. But we have to, I hate to do it. I'm not that guy. I'm a DFS and sports guy. I'm not a gossiper. I'm not a TMZ guy. But maybe in a way, what's going on at home is dragging on him. He made it, everybody seems to think they're making fun of him, not my business, but they seem to think that, he chose in his IG profile, it was family and football, and now that was fake, obviously. He got rid of the family part, and it's all about football. I will say, though, when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, this offense is young. They're inexperienced, but they are so much fun to watch. And, when we went into the season, in the spring and the summer, Atlanta for sure going to be a bottom 3 team. They're going to be the first overall selection, second. But right now, this Atlanta team is playing fun. Are they going to win a ton of games? That to be fair,
they're scoring points.
Yeah, that jury is still out.
That's what they're doing.
They're scoring points, and so far so good. Drake London's had 32 targets through the first 4 games, 18 receptions, about 230 yards. I think he's only scored twice, but hey, that's it. It is what it is. In comparison to Terry, you just get a classic case of folks probably in the comments right now will go, "This not even a question. You guys are dopes. You're dummies. You start your studs. Look at where Terry McLaurin," because it's still early enough in the season where you could talk about the draft, where you say,
"You don't keep the McLaurin in the garage."
Yeah, where'd you draft Terry? You probably drafted him in the 3rd or 4th round, and Drake was like an 8th or 10th round pick. And they talk about draft capital and that. Right now, going into game 5, week 5, I don't care about that stuff anymore. I want to see
Draft's
results
over.
And see what these guys are doing. One thing I will say about the Commanders and Carson Wentz, he's not an awful quarterback, but he's not like this A-lister kind of quarterback. And right now, though, Washington and Carson Wentz are supporting a trio of wide receivers. Terry, Curtis Samuel, they're lining him up all over the place, and the young kid Johan Dotson. So he's supportive and supporting all 3 of these guys. Brass tacks here, when we look at Terry, I have him around 7 targets, 4 receptions, about 65 yards. He's been averaging 17.9 yards a reception. That's very nice. When you look at Drake, I have him for 9 to 10 targets, catching 5 to 6 passes, almost 80 to 87 yards here. So to me, I would go with Drake London. In my lineup, I would go with Drake London. And in DFS DFS circuits, however you want to say it, I would also choose Drake London just based on the price tag is still cheaper than Terry McLaurin, because everything Terry is doing now, all the questions that are being asked, this guy or Terry, it's all, we go back to what he used to do. What he hasn't hit that level yet, but Terry is Terry. He will be okay. But right now, at this moment in time, headed into week 5, give me Drake London, please, just from a volume standpoint.
No, I'm right there with you. I have London this week at wide receiver 16, McLaurin at 25, and that's with a very favorable matchup. So Fantasy Pros has it 21-26 in favor of London. Just a bit of a comparison there. I have them much more separated, about 9 spots right? So I have a lot of faith in London. You saw the injury to Cordell Patterson. I don't think that means that they're going to overload these other running backs with a lot of touches. I think they're actually going to pass more. I think it means better things for Kyle Pitts. It means better things for Drake London. And like you said, London has just looked very, very good with the volume that he's had. My concerns about Terry are Carson Wentz, actually, because he's not looking his way whatsoever in the first quarter. He can't even get the guy off the ground until like late in the second quarter, just before halftime, before the guy can get a catch. He's looking Curtis Samuel's way. He's been very much favorable to Samuel over Terry early and often, and that's more so my concern. Beyond that, he's passing to the running backs a lot. He's passing to McKissick. He's passing to Gibson a lot. Terry just feels like he's an afterthought because he doesn't want to make that mistake. He doesn't want to throw into that deep coverage. He doesn't want to turn the ball over. It's almost like he's already got that built into his game plan coming into the game. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So that's why I'm just off Terry in this situation. Believe me, there's plenty of rosters this week where I'm starting Terry McLaurin because I have to. Okay.
No doubt. I also want to mention here that so now with Cordell Patterson going on IR, there is a mad dash to get this Caleb Huntley kid, or if it's in a shallower league, the Tyler Algier, he's a rookie as well. So it's going to be watching Atlanta this year is going to be fun. And I wrote it in my notes because as I'm going through this stuff, you have a general idea, but I want to pay close attention to this Atlanta game because when you mix in two young running backs who've seen little to no football action on a team that's coached very well on the offensive side of the ball, absolutely. And you have some options on the outside as well. This Atlanta Falcons team could be fun at the expense of Washington. And really quick, I will say this: Atlanta, they're 23rd overall against defending opposing wide receivers, and when you look at Tennessee, they're 29th overall. So the matchup favors obviously Terry. The pedigree favors Terry, but right now in this place and time, this whole thing is about having fun, and I want to see what Drake London with this bevy of other young talent around him can do on Sunday.
Right, and it's a great get-right spot for McLaurin. Hopefully he does. Like I said, I'm starting him in plenty of places, so hopefully that's the case. But if you're asking me between the two, on your roster, who you're benching and who you're starting, it's Drake all day. Question from the chat, the Chosen Rose, what are your thoughts about this trade? I trade Jacobs and Zach Ertz for Travis Kelce. I already have Eckler, Chubb, Pierce, Penny. That's an easy one. I absolutely do it. Disagree?
No, I agree.
That's a pretty easy one. The bump
I love a trade like that where
you get with Kelce is absolutely worth that.
I love a trade like that where you give a guy or girl, Ertz and Josh Jacobs, and they think they're getting a steal. I got two players. I got especially off of what Josh Jacobs did last week, and I'm getting another good tight end. Yeah, I'll get that. That's actually unbelievably cheap price tag to get. To acquire Travis Kelce, and I forgot what else. Oh, he said he had Eckler and Chubb and Pierce and Penny.
He's good. He's got plenty of depth on the roster there.
No brainer.
Eckler, Chubb, Pierce, Penny, all have looked very healthy too. There's no real injury concerns there. Yes. You're not really putting yourself on a limb at least right now. So I feel really good about it. Chubb's been one of the best running backs in the league next to Saquon Barkley. So you got to feel good about having him and Eckler to get together. Pierce has really shown that he's going to be capable of that RB1 workload, and Penny, there's some risky weeks, but good flex play. Good matchup based play.
Yeah,
all right, we're going to move over to the tight ends. We're looking at Ty Conklin versus Gerald Everett. Conklin's got the Miami Dolphins, and Everett has the Cleveland. I was about to say the Cavaliers, the Cleveland Browns.
Oh boy! So Tyler Conklin and Gerald, the big old Gerald Everett, who's played on
some relatively kind of hot tight ends, right? Some hot names off the waiver wires and some more, not deep leagues, we'll say.
Yeah, as it stands right now. And if I flip the page in bottom of the barrel, I know I have both mentioned in there. Tyler Conklin, the Jets are playing Miami. Miami's 25th overall against tight ends. And in a way, I'm just going to say this. I haven't seen anything. I haven't read anything. But who knows? After that Tua, concussion, he's not playing, obviously. But that could have or may have completely just let all the wind out of the sails in that team, in the locker room, around the place, because we're not just talking about he made a bad play at the end of the game and they lost.
No, that's literally his well-being.
Yeah, his well-being and his brain, and they showed the thing with his hand. I mean, it's all very scary. So you know what? I don't know how the Miami Dolphins are going to come out and play this week. And right now, correct me if I'm wrong and kick me off the broadcast right now, but to me, the New York Jets are kind of on their way up right now. They finally get Zach Wilson back. He looked good. He took some risks and got in the end zone with his legs, and he did all that. So from a game perspective, I love the idea of the Jets beating Miami in this one. But when we look at the question here, Tyler Conklin, Gerald Everett. Last week, Everett went, I think he went Super Saiyan. Didn't he score twice? He had like something 100 yards. I know he had 9 or 10 targets, which is unheard of from a tight end. But in that Chargers offense, though, that depends on the offense, right? If it's the, Buffalo Bills, if it's the, not New England, Kansas City, those offenses you're going to want a piece of. And I long have been saying, once Herbs gets it going and gets clicking, you're going to want every piece of this offense, and look what's going on. Granted, that rib injury hurts. It sucks. I've had the same thing. Didn't get it playing football, but I could not even move. But thankfully, he's on the field. He's going to be okay. But of these two, I have Everett around 6 targets, 4 receptions, just shy of 50 yards. When you look at Tyler Conklin, I have him 5 targets, 4 receptions, just shy of 40 yards here. So when you look at just from a numbers perspective, it's Gerald Everett. From a Detroit Beastie perspective, I'm going to go with Tyler Conklin, because how many times can you remember a week where we were talking about Gerald Everett had unbelievable back-to-back weeks? What he did last week was great, but now, true to form with kind of that mid-range, tight end, he's just going to disappear again for the next few weeks. So give me Tyler Conklin, who has been consistent. Hasn't been like unbelievably good, but he's been consistent. And now with the Jets starting to roll, and now with the Jets having Zach Wilson back, give me Tyler Conklin, who is also unbelievably cheap in DFS formats this week as well.
Yeah, so I'll be starting both of these guys in various leagues. I've been very grateful to both of them. Everett has saved me in some leagues where I own Kittle. Conklin has saved me where I've owned Kmet. So very grateful for both of these guys. I'm going with Everett here, and it's really just the quarterback comparison. When I'm looking at Zach Wilson versus Justin Herbert, I'm looking at someone, who when he does throw 35 plus times, I trust the production I'm going to get from that volume. If Zach Wilson is throwing the ball 35 plus times, I'm not sure if I'm buying the numbers that are going to come along with those attempts, right? If that's the information I get ahead of the game and I get to choose which side I go, I would always lean towards Herbert. And they pull Keenan Allen again. He's already listed as out for this Sunday. That those extra dominoes falling, I got to go with Everett here. We saw Mike Williams a couple of weeks ago only had 1 catch for 1 touchdown. If he gets into similar territory like that up against like Denzel Ward, it could be another big week for Everett. So I'm going to go with him. It's not the best matchup up against the tight end position. The Browns have allowed the 6th fewest fantasy points to the tight end position, but I feel like Everett is going to kind of continue to get that wide receiver type of usage, right? Like DeAndre Carter hasn't been filling in. I thought he might have some nice moments with Keenan Allen out. Hasn't really been the case. Palmer's had some nice moments. Jalen Guyton doesn't really have a pulse right now. So I really like Everett where he's kind of falling in line with the touches. I'll take him this week. I have him at tight end 9, and I have Conklin at 13. So pretty fair gap. But I do still like both of them. I'll be starting both of them this week.
No doubt. Yeah, Jalen Guyton had surgery the other day. He tore his ACL. He's out for the season. There you go. So that just opens up more space here. And we'll say Cleveland is top 10 in defending opposing tight ends. They're actually 8th, but the way you tied that up here, I completely agree.
All right, right on. All right, so we got a flex pick here. We've got Tyler Algier, Brandon Ayuk, or Tyler Higbee. You were talking about tight ends not getting those elite targets. Higbee's like 11 or 14 or something last week.
Yeah, in the first half, and even even the announcers were saying, this is a cup and Tyler Higbee kind of game. So let's run through each one. We'll look at Tyler Higbee briefly. The Rams, right. I don't want to say the Rams look broken, but they're not the Rams that we saw last season. And will it take them time to kind of get up to game speed and all that? Sure, absolutely. Yeah. But again, like I said with Gerald Everett, is if Tyler Higbee gets another like a 10 or double-digit target week, then I'll say, okay, I might need to change my stance on him. And I'm not going to say he's going to disappear, but that week shows you everything you need to know as you go on into the next one, and so on and so forth here. So as I'm looking in my notes here, the Rams, they're lining up with Dallas. They're playing at home against Dallas, and right now Dallas's defense is on fire, and Micah Parsons is going to make life a living hell for Stafford. But in a way, that kind of happened last time out, and that's why Stafford was firing the ball off right away. So the Dallas defense being this good and pressuring Matt Stafford could be good news for more check down Charlie stuff to Tyler Higbee and Cooper Kupp. And so when we look at that, Tyler Higbee, I have him around 7 targets, 5 receptions for about 50 yards. When we look at Tyler Algier, now this was an exciting one. We mentioned him briefly, just moments ago when we were talking Drake and Terry here. Tyler's going to get his this is it. This is your time, kid. Listen to the Eminem song. Your moment is now. Mom spaghetti, all that stuff. When you look at him, he opportunity knocks. 5th round rookie pick, and we go from there. I have him double-digit carries, 11 or 12 carries. So good. He's averaged 5.3 yards a pop here. So you do the math. If he has 10 carries, you're looking at 53 yards here. But I have him in the 50 to 60 yardage range, and a touchdown and receptions. Not his the biggest faux pas of his, but a reception or 2, and we'll be lucky if we get 10 yards in the air from him when we look at Tyler Algier. So far, so good with the 2. I would run with Higbee and just see what it gets us because of what happened last week with the Rams. That has me very interested.
Yeah, I love Higbee here, and it's a lot simpler for me. Like, I have Algier at running back 34. I have Ayuk at wide receiver 38. I have Higbee at tight end 7. Go with the best upside, right? And I'm actually starting Higbee in my flex with other tight ends, right? So, like, I'm okay doing that when I have elite tight ends. Like, if I have a Kelsey, I will start a David Njoku in my flex. If I have a Mark Andrews, I will start a Tyler Higbee in my flex, right? If it's still got to be better than the other options. And I mean, obviously, like, if that's your flex, like, there's some issues, right? Like, I have a league where I'm missing, I think a couple of days ago in my starting lineup, I had Mike Thomas, Keenan Allen, and DJ Shark. Not anymore, I don't. They gone, right? So yeah, in a league like that, I'm starting Higbee at my flex with Mark Andrews at tight end. So yeah, give me Higbee here. Dallas has allowed the 12th fewest fantasy point totals to the tight end position. Doesn't scare me. Allen Robinson has not looked like he's on the same page with Matthew Stafford. Maybe Stafford's playing hurt. There's been a lot of talk about that. I'm not sure. But I haven't loved what I've seen. So I'm going to go with Higbee. Feels like the safest play for me here. Another question from the chat. We've got Simon said traded Jefferson and Deontay for Mixon, Mike Williams, and Godwin. Half-point PPR redraft thoughts. I don't love getting rid of JJ, but what you got in return is pretty solid. Getting running back 1, wide receiver 2, potential wide receiver 2, running back 1, and Godwin. You got to see what you get out of his health. I don't hate it. I'm hoping it's maybe in a deeper league. Definitely 12 teams. I hope. 14.
That makes me nervous. This trade makes me nervous because I'm a Godwin fan. I'm a big Godwin guy, right? And he was out, comes back, and then last time we saw him, he was on the ground several times and needed help to get up. And I mean that could just be a conditioning thing. He's not up to game speed, right? He gets his foot stepped. He gets his foot stepped on, but there was one play where it's looked like his shoulder was completely out of the socket, and it scares me. It makes me nervous. Again, trading away Jefferson and Deontay, that'd be a hard pill to swallow because those two are just eating and soaking up so many targets and touches on a daily basis. But when you look on the flip side of things, Mixon, I've always loved Mixon in that offense. Will they pick it up? Mike Williams is right now, correct me if I'm wrong, the boomer bust poster boy. Even with Keenan Allen out, we're getting a game where he disappears or he'll go off for 11 catches for 200 yards yards and 3 touchdowns here. And then Godwin, we know what we get out of him when he's happy, when he's healthy, but Tom Brady doesn't look right. Godwin is, maybe he's even nervous and scared himself coming off of a major injury like that. So the Godwin and the Mike Williams you think you're getting, those aren't the guys you think you're getting as it stands right now. So to me, it's Jefferson and Deontay side, and I'm not even thinking twice. So you made the trade. It is what it is, and that's just my opinion.
I do think come the end of the year, if all of these guys play to their potential, like if they all play to just like not even their floor or their ceiling, but just like their average. Yeah, I think that it's going to be pretty close to a wash. I mean, and when it's a wash, it's not absolutely ideal, right? Like you want to win a trade, you want to get the value back, but I think it's going to be pretty even. So if you were hurting in other positions and you really needed a running back, maybe that's all right. But yeah, I mean, I would still probably lean towards the Jefferson and Deontay side, but like I said, come the end of the year, it may be more even than we think.
No doubt.
All right, we're going to get into a few more trade questions. We're not going to go through all of them. I think maybe we'll split because we did take some from the chat. First one up, I got to throw this one out there. It's very personal. It's one that I did myself. I traded Tyreek Hill. I traded him for Brandon Cooks, DJ Moore, or James Robinson. Did I get enough back? This is a keeper league, and Tyreek Hill will be kept in the 5th round. It's like, forever keeper in that round. I've kept him since he was a rookie. It's, my team name now is Goodbye, My Old Friend. I'm listening to James Blunt songs.
Well, when you look at Tyreek Hill, right, when he was in Kansas City, a lot of his value was tied to the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Without Patrick Mahomes, this guy is still faster than hell. They call him the cheetah. He could still make things happen in the open field. And then he goes to Miami and looked like he hadn't missed a step. Those little slant routes, boom, gone to the house. But now Tua, who knows when we see Tua next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People say he's going to go through the concussion protocol. What happened the first time around? To be fair, to be frank, I am not a doctor. I don't claim to be one, and I haven't read anything about a concussion, getting a concussion while still it could be fatal, right? That's legit. So I think in an odd way, there were some people that were fired in Miami, like the team doctor and some other people were fired. I think for the sake of this organization, they're going to really baby Tua now. So I could see a case where Tua doesn't make a start for 3-4, but do they keep him out for an extended period of time because the moment he's back in, they're back in the headlines. It'll be damned if you do, damned if you don't with the Miami Dolphins brass and the head coach. So to me, now we look at a case where you're going to have a backup quarterback in Miami getting the ball to Hill, right? When you look at that, it doesn't matter, right? They could put me on the field, and as long as I can get the ball to Hill in any way possible, he does all the work for me, right? You throw a 1-yard out pass and it goes for 99 yards. He did the work. He did that. So trading Hill is not a bad move. And your return, I love the return because you're speaking my language. I'm a big DJM guy. I'm a big J-Rob guy. And right now, James Robinson has looked fantastic. People were like, well, I was wrong on him. People have gone through so many different ranges of emotion with James Robinson since day one, since he was picked up off waivers in week 1, undrafted, and boom, the season he put together as a rookie. When we look at DJ Moore, though, in Carolina, Baker Mayfield is awful. He's not good. He's sailing the ball. They're short. They're floppy, right? So DJ Moore has always been Mr. Set It and Forget It. You're going to get 1,400 yards out of him at the end of the season. His only faux pas was touchdowns. I think 4. He's scored no more than 4 touchdowns in a single season. Don't care, right?
I thought it was 6, but it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Either way, 6, okay, yeah. Whatever, then I was way off and I look foolish. But that was his whole thing. But DJ Moore is an elite receiver in my book, and people are saying no, he's not. We got to drop him down, and that's not because of DJ Moore. It's based on the guy that's trying to get him the football in Baker Mayfield. So when you look at that one, DJ Moore is DJ Moore. Brandon Cooks, he is the poster boy for efficiency. He does same thing, 1,000 yards every year. You know what you're going to get out of him. So you flipped Hill Hill, and you get three very useful guys. And in some cases, J-Rob can win you a week on his own. In some cases, DJ Moore could win you a week on its own. Same thing could be said for Cooks. He's done that several times, especially in DFS formats. 170 yards with a trio of touchdowns, and if you didn't have Cooks in your lineups, you might as well have went to bed. So I think you did good. You can always second guess this kind of stuff. You coulda, shoulda, woulda. Yeah, of course, you could have got a little more, could have did a little better, but what you received back, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's an IDP league, so the first offer was Dame Harris, Nick Morrow, DJ, and Cooks for Hill, and I thought that was a lot. I was like, damn, but I don't need Nick Morrow. I'm good. I just, let's just upgrade this running back position. So flip Dame for J-Rob, and I didn't really think it was going to go through. I thought it was just going to kind of get shut down there, and to me, it was enough. I'm the guy that has Tyreek Hill and then fluff receivers, Jerry Jeudy, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS, very underwhelming. Who's my other one? I started Josh Reynolds. Whew, thank goodness. That pulled me through a week. I can actually just pull it up here really quick. But I upgraded my my wide receiver position and my flex because I already had Aaron Jones, I already had Jeff Wilson and Elijah. Elijah's obviously on the IR, and then Bateman was in my flex, and now he's hurt, right? So feeling really good about it this week. We'll see how it goes going forward. The Tyreek Hill side of things, yeah, it's a huge sell opportunity right now. You're losing your A1 quarterback. You're going to Teddy Bridgewater, who, while he can have his moments, he's going to have his inefficiencies as well. And I just don't think that you're going to see the same level of production from Tyreek Hill from weeks 1 through 4 onwards without Tua Tagovailoa. I don't think that they're going to go out and necessarily buy a quarterback by any means, but I just don't trust him as much with Teddy Bridgewater. So that was just an easy one for me. It is a keeper league, so I'm giving up some long-term value, not too much. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's do a two-parter here. How about Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas for Derrick Henry?
AK and MT for Derrick Henry, aka King Henry. I'm gonna go Henry all day in this one. Alvin Kamara, I don't know what the heck is going on with Alvin and MT. I mean, he looked good in week 1, and then I think he's now hurt again. And I hate being on a broadcast where I talk in it like this, where I'm like, I think he was hurt, because I try to be more professional and have everything in front of me and give folks the absolute best content, but I can't keep up with all the injuries that are going around, and in some cases it's tough to keep up with guys' production and all that as we go through the week here. But to me, anytime you can land King Henry, that's the thing. And what I would like to say is, finally, Derrick Henry he's like a diesel truck, right? It takes a cut, right? And now, starting last week, he is off and running, and he's not looking back. So give me Derrick Henry all day in this one against Michael Thomas. Willie Woney, is he going to be in the lineup? And then who's their quarterback now? Winston is done for now. It's what's his name, Red Rifle Dalton. I mean, so there's all a bunch of issues in New Orleans there, and the guys can't stay healthy, can't stay on the field, and they're not even getting the workload that's expected of them. So give me Derrick Henry to just carry the rock 20 times a game and just pound dudes into the ground. So all day on D. Henry.
Yeah, that was an easy one for me. The person that must have owned D. Henry in that trade just must have a bunch of really good running backs, because that seems very risky. Mike Thomas, who hasn't done much of anything, literally, since week 1, he had 2 touchdowns on limited snaps, hasn't really done much since. Alvin Kamara can't stay healthy either. He's just as likely or unlikely to be in the lineup. Really wish they took those 4 games away from him to start the season. Come on now.
Yeah, could be weighing on his mind. I mean, I don't know. And the big rub was, this time last week, Sunday morning, right before 1 p.m. lock, people were, I had Alvin in my lineup, but he was out last second. And then you had the other group of people going, well, quit being a B and wake up and set, it was all strange just because a fantasy football or a real life football player wasn't active here. So some odd reason, AK and MT just aren't it right now. And I know it. Derrick Henry is about to take flight.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Who should I trade to get Kamara? I got T. Higgins, Jefferson, Lamb, Waddle. I need an RB. My RBs are Gibson, Swift, and Dobbins. Who should I trade to get Kamara? I really don't know if you want to get Kamara. I don't.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you want to get Kamara, I wouldn't give up any of those players listed for him. T. Higgins is
Gibson?
If someone would do a Gibby for AK-41 trade up straight up, then I would do that all day.
Yeah.
But the guy who has Kamara, I don't know, guy or girl, what their mindset is. But Jefferson, Lamb, and Waddle, 3 stud wide receivers. Those 3 would be the core of my team for the next 10 years, and in no way would I ever jeopardize that for the idea of getting Kamara here. And right now, you got Swift and Dobbins. We know that Swift and Dobbins injuries have followed them so far, right? Dobbins working his way back, and again, he looked good last week, and I think that Baltimore is going to start letting him go. They're just going to open up the floodgates here on Dobbins very soon. And to be fair, I'm in Detroit. All the talk on Swift is he's okay, he's fine, but they're thinking they might just let him rest and chill until after their bye week in week 6 here. So you're going to be out Swift another couple weeks here. But if you can get a guy, Gibson for Kamara straight up, have at it. If you got like another wide receiver 3 or something you want to throw, like if you got Michael Gallup, you want to throw in him, Michael Gallup and Gibson for Alvin Kamara, or Nico Collins, Josh Palmer, some other, lower ranked, wide receivers, or even the New England Patriots boys, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, and you can sell them on the fact that they're playing the Lions this week. So there's a lot of different ways to go here. Gibson is about the only one of the guys listed that I would ever even think about cutting loose for.
Yeah, no, I feel the exact same way. Kamara just isn't a buy piece for me right now. And if you are going to get him in a trade, you can't give up substantial stock. So yeah, I would be definitely wanting to hold on to. Honestly, I want to hold on to Gibson too, but he's the one that I would feel safe letting go with Robinson coming back. He's looking good apparently. And those receivers, there's no way any of those guys are, you're losing the trade giving up any of them for Kamara, period. Flat out. All right, we're going to hit a quick word from the sponsors. We'll be right back after this, and we'll be going over our last segment, fantasy point totals on Underdog. All right, No House Advantage is changing the game by offering the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. You can play in pick'em contests versus other people for a shot at winning $250,000 plus in cash. Make sure to check out No House Advantage today and experience daily fantasy sports redefined, because it's just not how you play, but also where you play. You don't want to miss out on this. Sign up now with promo code SGPN at nohouseadvantage.com or download the app to get your first deposit match up to $24. I also want to tell you listeners about Trade Coffee. It's a coffee subscription service unlike anything you've ever tried before, because they partner with top independent roasters to freshly roast and send the best coffees in the country directly to your home on your preferred schedule. Their team of experts do all the work, taste testing hundreds of coffees from all across the U.S. every single month to curate over 450 exceptional coffees that make the cut. Trade is the easiest way to get your best tasting coffee delivered fresh when you need it. You've got nothing to lose, because Trade Coffee offers a guarantee that you'll love the first bag. If not, they'll work with you to replace it for free. So if you want to support small business and brew the best cup of coffee you've ever made at home, it's time to try Trade Coffee. Right now, Trade is offering our listeners a total of $30 off your first order, plus free shipping at drinktrade.com/SGP. That's drinktrade.com/SGP for $30 off your subscription to the best coffees in the country. And Chris, I'm not sure if you've heard of Odds Trader, but it's a place where you can compare odds from all major sports books. You can compare the different sign-up codes and promotions from sports books to get the best deals. They also provide player statistics, key game stats, injury reports, and game day projected weather for bettors to make the most informed bets possible. It also has a bet tracker so bettors can keep records of all your games and betting activities. Go to oddstrader.com/bluewire. Odds Trader, it's the #1 site for all your game day bets. All right, and we're back rolling in here. We're going to be going over some fantasy point totals on Underdog. Quarterback category, we're looking at Justin Herbert, 19.95 fantasy points. I believe he's hit this out of 2 of his 4 games so far. Going up against Cleveland, They had a pretty high scoring game last year. I like this over here. I think he's going to bring it home. What do you think?
Yeah, over big time. When I look at the Chargers in Cleveland, I have the Chargers winning this one 28-24. So the over will smash at 48. And when I look at Herbert, 26 completions, just shy of 300 yards, a pair of touchdown passes, and you're looking at another 2 or 3 points on the ground with rushing yardage. So give me, what was it, 19 something? Yeah, I have him around 22, 23 total points. So over the 19.5 all day.
Right on. Same here. All right, Najee Harris, 11 and a quarter going up against the Buffalo Bills. Has hit it 2 out of 4 games so far. Bills have allowed the 15th fewest fantasy points to the running back position. I'm going under here. What do you think?
Yeah, right now Najee's been he's been a weird dude to talk about. Like people are, I can see. I don't know if you can see it. I mean, I don't know if anyone can see it, but I can. When we're on social media all the time, the tide is starting to turn on Najee Harris. And people are like, nobody's ready to say, damn it, I was wrong on Najee Harris. He is not a bell cow back. He's not a stone
it can
cold
happen.
stud. He's not.
It can happen.
I'm aware, but now Kenny Pickett is their quarterback, and so you have to lean on Najee Harris, 15 plus carries a game. Could he handle that? Absolutely, but for some odd reason, he's averaging only 3.5 yards a carry. He's got 58 carries, only 200 yards. 3.5 yards a carry is dreadful, and he's only scored 1 time on the ground, 1 time in the air, and you're going against the Buffalo Bills defense that's just waiting to put a hitting on you. So I'm going to go under here, and I'm telling you, at a certain, let's mark this moment in time. We'll go back to this moment in time in week 8 or 9 when people are jumping ship on Najee, and we see, the fighting, and, you were victory lapping him, and now it's going to be, if Najee Harris busts or breaks this year, it's going to be a weird time on social media.
We can recap it on Monday when we hit these picks, because it looks like we're all feeling the same sides here. All right, next one up, we got Debo Samuel going to Carolina. This total is really high, 16.95. I feel like that's an overreaction to last week. He's only hit this in 1 out of 4 games. I'm taking the under here. Even Carolina, they've allowed the 16th most fantasy points to wide receivers. I'm still taking the under here. I actually like the Carolina Panthers at home in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some stones on this one. When I look at San Francisco's playing Carolina, San Francisco's defense to me is been unbelievably outstanding. I think Frisco hangs 24, 27 points in that one. But when we look and they win the game, but when we look at Debo, 7 targets, 5 receptions, about 70 yards, another 4 or 5 carries for 25 or 30 yards. And if he finds the end zone, obviously it's all gravy. Yeah. I have him right now around 16.5. And you said this one's about 16.9. That's like a difference of a yard or 2. So I'm going to take the over on this one. Because Frisco right now has some mojo rolling, and they're in Carolina, and Baker stinks, and I think San Francisco wins this one, maybe a defensive touchdown, but Debo will get his, and I'm going to go over, but it's going to be, we're going to sweat that one out by the skin of our teeth with the Debo over.
Fair enough. I'm still staying to the under, so at least we don't agree on all things.
Yeah.
Last one up here, and we're going to head out. We got Dallas Goddard, 9.65. Too low for me. I'm smashing the over here. Arizona's allowed the 2nd most fantasy points to the tight end position through 4 games. At easy home run for me.
Yeah, what'd you say, 9.65? I have him around 6 targets, 4 or 5 receptions, about 50 yards. So just in PPR formats, that's 10 right there. You get the receptions, the yardage, that's 10 right there, and we're rolling. Yeah, give me the over. And more than likely, when you look at him, Philadelphia is at Arizona. I have Philly, putting up 31, 34 points. If he finds the end zone, you're going to double that 9 point whatever total here. So yeah, give me the over. Easiest one of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. Take those picks over to Underdog, smash them, make some money. We love it. You got anything to share before we head out, Chris? Let everybody know where they can find you, what you're working on. Plug away.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Detroit Beastie. I'm a DFS guy. That's what I pride myself on. Single game videos. Right after this broadcast, I'm joining the Sons of Dynasty to talk Week 5 DFS. We're going to dig in with a fine-tooth comb. Bottom of the barrel, normally out Tuesday. Well, where is it? Because it's Thursday, Friday night. That'll be out in the morning. Like I said, I've been getting my responsibilities done, but been dragging ass in other areas. So look for Bottom of the Barrel. Very late, not like me, but hey, such is life. And thanks for having me. This is it's a blast. You comments and you go over under stuff. That's really what I love to do. So thanks for having me, my friend.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got to have you back soon for fantasy hockey as well. Me and Nick just got off the ground with our second fantasy hockey episode of this year, so we'll definitely have you back for that. Some more football. Always love having you on. Always love cutting it up with you. Take care. Be well, everybody. Be sure to go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Smash the fantasy tab. We got everything that you need. Weekly rankings, IDP, DFS, start sits, FOB. We got everything for you. So come check us out. Take care. Be well. Be good. And if you can't be good,
be bad, baby.
We'll see you at it.